What's up, guys? Pittsburgh White Schwartz back again with another multi-deck tech for you. Today we're going to be talking about Konosuba and the updated lists involving the cards that just came out in the Legend of Crimson set in English. I guess we will jump right into it. First, we have Andy's Sylvia-centric deck here. Take it away, Andy.
My Sylvia waifu deck.
You...
Excuse me.
More of an OTP deck.
I suppose. I'm actually like I talked a lot about wanting to build this in the
set review.
In the set review, and it actually turned out to be like a solid deck. I've been actually really pleased with how it's running so far. So basically everything in the deck, for those of you who watched, liked, and favorited that last video, don't remember, all the Sylvia cards deal off of all your search effects, all your power effects deal with having either Demon King's army or Kazuma named characters. So that's why the whole deck is Kazuma and Sylvia cards. And kind of the main theme of the deck is, like, if you've seen the movie, it's actually pretty flavorful, but like you kind of just make a really big Sylvia. You just keep like evolving her and she keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And there's this like marker mechanic where you're going to put your cards underneath her as markers and she gets power for each one. So one of the best payoff cards for the deck is the level 0 Brainstormer, probably. That's been one of the most useful ones I found. It's just a rest self-search Brainstormer for any card in your deck, and draw discards on play, which I'm a big fan of those type of effects in general, but it's really nice in a deck with Pants Trigger, because you can sometimes end up with a lot of climaxes stuck in your hand, so being able to just like get rid of them easily is pretty solid. The other choices for the level 0s, we need like a number of Cosmos in the deck to function. Probably you need some yellow for some of the higher level Cosma stuff. So, and it turns out most of the good Cosma cards are actually the level 0s. You have like classic Cosma, the 0/0 that looks at the top 3 cards of your deck and take any one of them when you play them, when you pay the cost. And then Snipe Cosma is a pretty good level bomb. He's real big in Japan, apparently.
Yeah, they love Snipe Kazuma.
They love him over there. And then the last Cosma is one of the new ones from Crimson. What the hell's this set called? Legend of Crimson.
Yeah.
And he fills a really like important niche in the deck. He during your climax phase, he gives 500 power to one of your characters. So just a nice little power pump if he's sitting around in your back row. And then he has the effect you can pay 1. Put him underneath a Sylvia as a marker, then look at the top 4 cards of your deck for a level 1 or higher card. So you can use him to like fly through your deck and mill. And he also increases the power of all your Sylvia, like your Sylvia, whichever one you're building up when you do that. And he's a little bit important when it gets to level 2 also, which I'll double back when we get there. But starting at level 1, you're going to be playing the, I can't see her name from here, but it's just the 1/0 Sylvia. When you play it, you mill 2 cards. Any non-climaxes among those are going to go under her as a marker. And she gets 1,000 power for each marker. And when you reverse your opponent with her, you can pay 1, sacrifice the climax, and search your deck for any 2 characters. So you get 2 reverses, you get 2 pluses off a single lane, which is really nice. Unfortunately, you can't like double up on this, because you have to sacrifice the climax as a cost, so you can't get like 2 lanes of Sylvia off. But that's usually not an issue, because what I've been finding is you can usually like get 2-3 turns in a row with this. Because the pants will keep getting you the stock soul back to your hand, and then Sylvia just gets a bunch of markers and gets big. So, and with her effect, you can search 2 cards from your deck. You search up one of the backups that you see next to it, the best art card in the set. It's a 1/1500 counter, but when you use it, it goes underneath your Sylvia as a marker. So, basically for 2500, and it permanently powers her up. So I've had games where I've done this combo like 3 or 4 turns in a row, just because they just can't deal with the Sylvia. Like, I keep backing it up, it keeps getting markers. They have like an open lane somewhere else, and I just move it over. I pants to climax back to my hand, I slam it again. It's just really, really good value, actually. Really solid level 1 combo.
So if you're investing a lot in like a single Sylvia, how exactly are you protecting it from stuff like wind or blink and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. That seems like the most glaring problem that you'd run into with a deck like this.
It's actually not as big as a problem as you'd think it'd be. Once you hit level 2, I guess we'll get into level 2s now. We have the 1/2/1 back row assist for Sylvia. It's a global 1000 to your field, and it also gives your middle lane can't be targeted. So it shrouds up your middle lane. So if you have your big Sylvia you're building in the center lane, your opponent can't wind it, they can't blink it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as your level 1 goes, it's not like you're getting a ton of markers under your level 1. Probably just gonna like get 1 or 2 markers instead of 5 or 6k, and then when you get your reverse for your combo, you search up a backup, and you're gonna back up to, what would it be? It'd be 75 or 85, and that's probably gonna be enough. In a lot of cases, which just lets you loop the combo again. And at level 1 at that game, it's not like, I mean, your opponent's still gonna have some weak characters lingering around then. That even if they kill your Sylvia, you can next turn just play another Sylvia, poach off their weak lane. And again, the fact that you get to search 2 characters on the Sylvia is really nice. You could search up like one of the Cosma counters and another level 1 Sylvia. So if they do get bigger than your card and you can't defend it, you can just play another one and kill their weak lane combo again. It's actually really efficient. And Brian, I think you'll really like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a stock soul, you red-pilled me on those. The fact that it's an auto ability, it gives soul, means even if you sacrifice the climax, you still keep the soul damage on your field.
Mm-hmm. The soul.
Yeah, auto ability.
Usually I try to
that.
swing with the Sylvia last because it's better for compression if you can, take 2 clean cards out of your deck at the end. But sometimes, like, if you're getting low on your deck, you like, swing with the Sylvia, sacrifice your climax before you like go into your next deck and like search the last couple cards out of your deck, and then you have your climax go back too.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, I definitely like that a lot.
Yeah, I guess some of the other level 1s I skipped mentioning before. The 1/0 Kazuma is the newest addition I've added. It kind of has good synergy with a lot of the Sylvia cards that are just going to pump a Kazuma or Sylvia character. And his effect is when you get a reverse with him, if you have a climax on your field, you get to, if you played a climax that turn, you get a blind stock. And the deck can be pretty greedy for stock. Because there is a lot of effects that are going to be paying 1 over and over and over again, and that's going to kind of tax your stock, especially when you get into your early plays. So being able to build up the extra stock's really nice. There's the Demon King Army event. It's the blue one. Searches your deck for any Demon King or Cosma character, adds it to your hand, and you give 3,000 power somewhere. And the Sylvia next to it bonds to it. It's a Shimakai that bonds to the event. I was running higher quantities of these at first. I was running like 3 or 4 of the Sylvia and 2 or 3 of the event. But neither of the cards is like that important. I kind of just have 1 of each because, you don't care if you draw the event. The Sylvia is actually fine on its own, being able to pump something because all your shit's on reverse. And sometimes, it's a nice hand filter. But both halves of it are good on its own. You don't need to overcommit to it. And we're already running a shitload of Cosmos, so we might as well run the up down event. Hee hee ho ho.
Yep, Konami code.
Hee hee ho ho hoi hoi hoi.
Yeah, I guess there was a lot more to talk about this deck than I thought originally. Yeah, so level 3, your early play is a full field early play. So you have a full field of Demon King and Cosmos, you can early play it, and it heals. And that's kind of the nice thing about that 1 level 0 Cosma from Crimson Legend before, that you can pay 1 and put it under your Sylvia as a marker. Because you can like play him down, have your full field, play your Sylvia, and then
Cash him out.
you can like cash him out, put him underneath her as a marker.
Mm-hmm.
And then when your early play Sylvia gets reversed in battle when your opponent kills it, you get to change it into the final form of Sylvia, which is the one with the moon behind it. When your big Sylvia gets reversed, you pay 2, discard a card, and then you take 2 cards from your waiting room, put them on top of your reverse Sylvia, and then put big Sylvia on top of that Sylvia. So you generate more markers, and the Sylvia they just killed turns into another marker.
He gets like 1,000 per marker, right?
She gets 500 per marker, but she also, I don't know why they just make the card a 13k, but first effect on the card reads, this card gets 3,000 power plus 500 for each marker.
Okay, so she's 13 base.
So she sits at 13 plus 500 for each marker.
Yeah, kind of weird that your card has to die, but it's an early play healer, so only a 9k, pretty reasonable that your opponent runs it over.
Yeah, so like my final thoughts on the deck, I guess in closing, is that for being like a budget deck, there's not a single double rare in this deck. Actually, Brian just gave me pretty much the whole deck for free out of his case. The only cards I had to buy was the Kazuma level 0s, the Sniper, and the normal Kazuma.
Yeah, the entire deck should be dirt cheap to build. It's literally all just chaff.
Yeah, like not a single double rare in there. And there's been so much Konosuba open because everyone wants to make the Megumin and Union deck, so there's a ton of these cards floating around. They're super cheap and very competent for, the money you're putting into it. Surprisingly, like the early game, I was telling Brian a little bit about this before we started recording, but like the 0 to 1 game is actually really solid. The Brainstormer being able to like, draw ditch on play, and just in general, the Cosma level 0s being the best Cosma cards. It really shores up your early game. You're really not sacrificing too much to play those. And the Sylvia combo at level 1 is surprisingly quite good because you're getting 2 pluses off of a single reverse, and then you search up your counter to defend it and then do it again.
Mm-hmm.
But the early play is kind of weird. It feels very awkward because when you invest in an early play, right, you want to be using your backups to defend it and all your other power pump effects to defend it. But in order to get the change, it needs to die. So it's kind of counterintuitive.
All right.
And the finisher is kind of like not that great either. It's
just a restander.
It's just a restander. Again, you have to sacrifice the climax for it. You do lose the soul this time because it's continuous on a pants trigger, which kind of helps get rid of one of the main drawbacks of
restander. Yeah,
restander. You're not like swinging for a huge soul over and over again. You can kind of like sack your soul off, but
right.
I was finding that the full field condition, because you need to have 4 characters on the field in order to perform the effect. You have to, after the cards attack with a full field, you have to discard 2 cards to stand it. And I don't know, you're still playing kind of like a budgety deck, so sometimes, you're not able to get your reverses with your Sylvia level 1 combo, or you just don't really do a lot during the mid game. You can sometimes just be really strapped on resources, where like what I've been finding is if I need to like draw into my climax for the combo, right, like using level 0 Kazumas or whatever, you just bleed hand, and then you need to have a full field too. It can kind of be rough sometimes, surprisingly, but I guess it's a solid finisher. If the finisher was a bit better for this set and like transition from your early play into the level 3 a bit better, I think the deck would actually be really fire.
No reason you can't just play Kokochino.
Yeah, just play the Aqua finisher.
Yeah. Doesn't even matter.
You could. I guess you really could, but nothing's going to search it up out of your deck then. But I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd have to run the the salvage brainstorm.
The salvage one, yeah.
If you wanted to do that. Which wouldn't be too bad, because it grabs anything.
I might actually try that, though. Like, because the level 3 is kind of like the weakest part of this deck.
You could just play Mesmerizings and play Kokochino, instead of like playing all these other cards, and you just run a salvage brainstorm.
It would probably just be like 4 Coco Chinas, and you just have to hard draw them.
I mean, changing the brainstorm
Fine.
doesn't change the deck too much.
Yeah,
Salvages anything.
you don't get the draw ditch or the extra soul from playing a gate, but you do get general access to waiting room, which lets you get your finisher.
Yeah. All right.
So maybe me or some other spicy deck brewer will come up with a way to funnel the level 1 into like better top end. But it's a lot of fun playing this deck. It's one of my favorites to play at the moment.
All right. Move on here.
Yeah, speaking of brainstorms, let's talk about a deck that doesn't play one. So if you've seen Konosuba at all in Weiss Schwartz, you are probably familiar with the general shape of this deck. It plays almost identically. I think I have like 2 deck techs on this channel about this deck.
You do. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm currently still playing with the swimsuit Megamine at level 0 as the oversize. There are plenty of other options for a plussing 0 in the set. You can replace it with the Wiz Futaba. It's an uncommon from the new set. On play, top check or look at top card if it's a character. Put it underneath as a marker. It sits at 3,500 level 1. In this deck, I think swimsuit's still all right. She saves herself if you mill a level 2 or higher card when she's reversed, which happens fairly frequently. So helps preserve your card advantage at level 0 a little bit more. Obviously, some people don't like swimsuit Megamine very much.
Always knows climax.
She sometimes hits a climax.
Sometimes, all the time, it's climax.
But yeah, that the plussing level 0 slot. There's a new coin flip in the set too that you could play around with. It's an
Union.
extremely flexible spot there. The reason to play the old top end that I'm looking at here still, though, is I think Ambush Union is still an incredibly powerful card. The fact that you get a free guaranteed plus and deck speed every single turn is extremely valuable, especially if you can put 2 of them in your back row at any given time. You can find whatever you're looking for.
So also, like, gives you Ricky, like, block yourself for a plus.
Yeah, stops you from being
level locked.
0. Mm-hmm. In the same vein, Covenant's Not Aqua, still an extremely powerful card. On reverse, mill 2. If you hit a level 2 or higher, she goes to stock. Especially now that the deck, or this list that I have here, is not playing Bunny Girl Union, having extra stock, especially in the early game, is extremely important, since the deck doesn't build quite as much stock as it used to. The Nuisance Megamine, on death, Akatsuki or Chiri. Look at top 4, take it's a magic trait character, right?
Yep. Cannot grab Aqua.
Cannot grab level 0 Snakwa, yeah. I think this is, in the new set, there is a Wiz Chiri that grabs level 1 or higher cards. I still think this is the better choice due to the fact that it can grab your Ambush Union, which you desperately need in the early game.
Grabs literally every non-blue card.
Yeah.
And an event.
So the more ways you have to get into your Ambush Union, though, in a deck like this, the better, the more consistent you'll be. Board Game Megamine, still an extremely powerful card. Climax Ditch Out works as a plussing level 0 in a pinch, and the drop search needs no explanation. Filters climaxes out of your hand and helps you get into cards that you need. So looking at the level 1s now, I have been trying out this new Megamine level 1 combo off gate in the new set. I do think this is the more powerful combo at the moment in the meta. However, I think the deck would still rather have Bunny Girl Union. I think having that extra stock flex is extremely powerful, but this card will likely be better going forward in the coming English metagame.
When you have Ambush, the fact that Union, when Union adds stock, it's a plus. Because when you have Ambush, that's why Union's so good.
Exactly, yeah.
But Obero doesn't plus you any more than itself.
Yeah, denies reverses. I mean, I guess Union didn't give you much choice in your plus either, except for the fact that Ambush converted stock into a plus. but the new Oboro gives you even less choice in the fact that it only pluses itself back to your hand.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I do like, as opposed to Union, is the fact that with the twin drive on the new combo, as opposed to Union blind stocking cards and potentially burying a climax, you always know exactly what's going into your stock, and you can handle that accordingly.
Yeah, twin drive helps you run clean.
Yeah, that's definitely a perk. As much as I loved constantly assuming I was out 3 from triple Union combo, this is definitely definitely a little more a little cleaner. The bomb needs no introduction. It's a level 1 reverse bomb with hand on core, powerful for dealing with troublesome level 1 standby targets in particular.
It's a really good one versus Sylvia. I was happy no one was playing that yesterday.
The anti-change counter still played in this deck due to the fact that Ambush Union helps accelerate your hand size to extremely large to an extremely large number of cards, so you constantly have the ability to ditch out. Ditching out half your hand isn't extremely crippling due to the fact that you can plus it right back up for free the next turn. Seizure of private property, always a broken card, 2/3. Stock swap your opponent, steal their stock away till the end of turn, give it back at the end of the turn. Helps stop climax combos, screws your opponent over as a stock swap, multi-purpose, broken card. I've talked about this a lot in the past.
Yeah. Makes your Fumio's even dumber.
Yep. As a new addition, this 2/1 back row Aqua, it has the ability to rest itself and give one of your characters on reverse bottom deck the character that it reversed, and also gives frontal 2k to level 3s. This makes the early plays played in this deck, the Union early play and the Mesmerizing Water Goddess Aqua, even dumber as they sit at huge power cross turn. The Aqua sits at 11k, the Union sits at 12.5, making them even more troublesome to deal with. Aqua swings in at 13 since she gets extra power on your turn as well.
Bottom deck's really good against slime too, and in the mirror.
Yeah, removing other early plays with hand on core like the Union there. Speaking of the Union, I only run 1 in my deck because I only have 1 SSP. But
Brian's deck is max rarity. So.
My deck is max, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But I could.
Is that why you're still running the swimsuit Megamines?
Maybe.
I was gonna say, like, I looked at this list originally, and I was wondering why you were running so many more detonative dames than Unions. But then I just realized you don't have any detonative dames.
Yeah.
I want to try putting something together with Dame. I wanted to keep Dame in this list, but there's really not enough room anymore for that card.
Burn every copy of that card that you own.
I mean, I feel like if you want to play Dame, you could cut like the Aqua Goddesses.
No, you can't cut that card. Card's $80 for a reason,
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, here's what I'm thinking about with as far as Dame goes, is the fact that it only plays for 1 stock in a deck without Bunny Girl Union that is already running really tight.
Well, you know what else plays for 1? Mesmerizing Water Goddess.
I mean, it does. Mesmerizing Water Goddess doesn't neg your opponent's board though and burn them for 1.
And you mean 2 things that never happen because you're never revealing 3 clean cards ever at any point on second day.
So clearly we cut the Union early play.
We just cut. You know what? If you want to play Detonative Dame, you might as well just cut Fumio and burn 5. Your deck doesn't work anyway.
Now, straight up, I think like unironically, you would probably cut the Union early play.
That would probably have to be the cut.
And here's, at least in this build without the Bunny Girl Union combo, because both the Mesmerizing Aqua Goddess and Detonative Dame will both play for 1. So that kind of fits the theme of being stock light.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both early plays as well. And Aqua's already your healer, so if you wanted to fit Dame, I feel like the Union would be the one to cut actually.
Yeah.
My big question for you, Brian, is
Sure.
How is Obro getting you full value without the Brainstorm? That card's really important for Obro working at its best potential. Because the Brainstorm, when you play any door climax, for people that don't know, gives any character on your board a soul. And one of the strongest things you can do with Obro is side over cards that are too big, or push for extra soul with Twin Drive and things like that. It's a really important part of the card. So, are you just like triggering more stock souls?
I mean, yeah, the crit on the stock soul helps push damage, I guess. But yeah, I mean, like I was saying, Obro doesn't feel fantastic in this deck. I'd have to maybe try something with the Brainstorm. And
Yeah.
I definitely prefer to still run Bunny Girl Union, but I think Obro is going to be the choice running forward. And I don't think this deck is optimized by any stretch. I haven't had a lot of chances to test this yet, though.
Yeah, that was just the big thing I wanted to ask you is how that was going for you, because like I think that and the Shaken are like still pretty sus, like with the Obro without the Brainstorm. Cause like I don't know, well, I guess the Shaken not as much, but like keeping up damage without the thing when you're like forced to side attack sometimes, and like try to swing more soul. Because if you don't trigger the 2 soul, you can kind of fall behind if you're playing old top end.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I found that it doesn't feel too bad. It feels fine in the fact that it's a guaranteed plus that keeps your stock clean.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to side attack though, it can get a little shaky.
I mean, but how often do you really need to do that, though?
How often
Side
do you need-
attack almost every turn.
Well, at level 1, though.
Almost every turn.
I mean, what's she swing at? She says
She only swings at 6-5.
At 65. Yeah.
Yeah, you get walled out. Depending on like if you play in a mixed meta, you're gonna get walled out pretty much every game by every deck. In an
You
English
could maybe
meta,
run more ways to pump it, like
a
more
couple times.
more pump, like a Shimakai or something, or
Well, that's why you run the. We'll get into it when we get to 5-door. Like that's the big problem with this card in the old shell. So I wanted to see how Brian was like managing it with the old top end, because I think playing the old top end's actually fine. I think it's still ridiculous. There's still Fumio and Burn 5 in the deck, and Megumin's still a good card because she doesn't have to go to battle. But like the Obro's a little bit of anti synergy with the ambush package.
Yeah, if I were to continue playing the or this list, I probably would consider switching back to Bunny Girl Union, depending on the meta that I'm going into. Unless I desperately need the Obro
to play the game, play level 1.
To deny whatever I'd be playing into. If I see a million
bounce backs or whatever.
Yeah, or
standby, data life.
Reverse combos, whatever, yeah, what have you.
The thing to me, it just seems like that Konosuba's like old top end just used to be so stock hungry. Like you have to pay your Megamine costs up front. You know, you can't like swing to generate the stock. And like Seizure's super costly event if you are in a game where you play that. And like being able to generate the 2 or 3 stock off the bunny girls seemed like actually really, really important.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
Because again, this is a deck. I mean, we joke about it all the time, but when you're playing the ambush package, you're just rolling your face on your ambushes every turn to find playables, because you don't have the selectivity of a normal deck. You have to like hoard the cards that you get. Like the one thing with Konosuba, like your sculpting's very slow because you have to slowly amass the cards you need over the course of the game, or when you happen to trigger a door, because your selectivity is really bad because it's all just random off the top of your deck. So you have to just mash your face for playables every turn. So like the extra stock from ambush is really important. All right, we can move on. Andy's got another deck for you.
Yeah, so for all you guys out there who are like, dang, Konosuba, I love Konosuba, but I just got into Weiss, and all these old cards are so goddamn expensive. Here's the deck for you.
$50.
I like put all this shit in a TCG player card. It came to about $50. And actually, the thing I like about this deck, right, it's like perfect for new players because everything's from Crimson Legend. So like any starter decks, or well, you don't need a starter deck, but like any booster boxes you buy, like every single card's usable. You don't have to go hunting down older cards. Deck's relatively inexpensive. You're running the Aqua combos at level 1 and level 3. And since like spoiler alert, like the big draw to Crimson Legend is like the new Megamine and Union stuff. That's what everyone's so hyped for. So all the Aqua and Darkness and my
All
girl
that stuff's
Sylvia,
cheap.
they're all super cheap. And the Aqua combos, both of them are very competent combos. Level 1 combo is just
Magro for level 1s, right?
it's a slightly different type of Magaro, using level 1 or higher cards, and it's a very easy combo to get into the game with and teaches you some important skills like how to go through
Control
your
your
deck,
deck state, yeah.
Yeah.
appropriate, how to control your deck state. Sometimes you go mill one card with the climax combo, sometimes you look at all four, and it's you don't need a reverse for it too, so you can kind of just like sculpt, get 3 of those aquas, slam them, turn them sideways, +3. Really nice. And then the aqua finisher again is really good too. You'll see a more of that a little bit later, Carmen's list, but the aqua finisher is very, very good. So you're not really sacrificing very much by going with aquas. I don't really have a ton to say about the deck, really. My challenge with it was I was trying to limit myself to only building with Crimson Legend cards
Mm-hmm.
to make something that would be like a lot more accessible for a newer player.
Keep it cheap. Like
yeah.
something achievable for someone out of the gate. Because a lot of people do love Konosuba, and like people see these memes on Global about the $80 base rarity mesmerizing water goddess, and they go, "How am I ever going to achieve? How am I ever going to acquire this card, let alone afford this card?"
Yeah.
So,
and again, if you decide like you just want to try Konosuba, like I know I've been wanting to make Konosuba for a while, but like I was never going to spend like all that money on the old shit.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of if you're a Konosuba fan but just didn't want to drop that type of cash, this is your chance to play with all the characters you like in a deck that's actually probably like competitive enough to keep up with the meta.
Yeah, it's definitely enough to play at locals for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't seem unreasonable at all.
No matter
I
how
don't think it would
competitive
be
your
too much of a
locals are.
stretch to say it's like an A tier deck, probably.
It seems pretty good, yeah. I mean, Konosuba's getting to the point where you can just throw a pile of cards into a deck, and it's probably pretty good.
It's probably fine. Those Force Mill cards are really cute. It's funny, we actually had a guy playing. I played into someone playing that last night at locals.
Those exact cards, or that?
Yeah, the 0 and the 1, like the cards that when they become reversed, you must mill 4. It's Force Mill. The Force Mill stuff is can be pretty rough, but I do think they're fine for new players because I think it's a good teaching deck. Like it'll teach you because like okay, if the game's going poorly, these cards might randomly just plus them every turn. And then, but they can also see when the game's going more normally, just be like, "Damn, this card just force milled me 4 into my new deck. Maybe I shouldn't play that card."
Yeah,
like
right.
so like, definitely a good teaching deck.
But here's the thing too, right? So this is like your starting point. Like you.
Yeah. You can like slowly
put $50
remove those
into
cards.
the game, and then you click go, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then as you know, you start playing more. You buy some packs here or there, win a couple prize packs. Maybe buy a booster box. There's definitely cards you can upgrade as you go. The ones that most easily come to mind are going to be like those the Union and Megamine at level 0 and 1, the ones that will keep milling you cards to save themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's a really good effect when it works, but it can also screw you over pretty hard too, and you don't have any control over it. So you can easily upgrade those into other cards as you acquire them, and also the level 3 Union early play. That's one of the box toppers actually, but it's only a couple dollars, so easy to get it first. But as you crack more packs and open like the Union early play,
you just slam those in there.
You can just easily switch those out.
All right, sounds good. Anything else on the day? Looks pretty good for $50.
Oh yeah, dude.
All right. Moving on. So this is the deck I put in. So you might have seen some people talk about this if you're in the Discords or whatever. Keeps getting brought up and people talk about Konosuba. 5-door 3 pants. 5 door being 4 of the level 1 Obro door, 1 of the new finisher door, and then the 3 pants being the aqua pants. So this is not like my original idea or anything. Kit King from Burn 1, shout out to Burn 1, brought this deck to me being like, oh, I think this is really good. And I've just I was tuning it on TTS, and then ever since the set came out, and I had the cards in my hand, I've been tuning it even more. A couple other people have also been playing it, getting input from a couple different sources. And this is what I'm currently on right now. Notably, unlike other Konosuba quote-unquote meta decks, this runs a heavy dose of yellow. The main payoffs being the level 1 Kome, which is just an absolutely absurd consistency tool for a deck that wants to loop it's level 1 combo over and over, because Obro, obviously, it bounces back to your hand. You have any way to get into any climax, because you have the climax swapper. You always try to have one of those in your hand, that level 0 darkness. Any climax becomes the climax you played the previous turn. You play Obro down again, you just play it over and over and over and over again, so you get to the top. But I guess going level by level here, we're running the Swimsuit Darkness, which we don't technically need. Was running the Utaba in there, but because Slime swings in at 3,500, and that's a really big deck right now with the Chloe, the 4K is a lot better. We unfortunately do not have the 3,500 oversized drop search from Japanese, because we never got re-edit for some reason. And we never will, because they changed the counter, the 102k counter we saw in the last deck, Andy's budget deck.
Man, all you Konosuba players getting shafted out there. I'm crying for you right now.
We don't need that. We don't need to depreciate my deck.
Oh yeah, because you print rainbow foils and re-edit, so Brian would have to remax again, because it wouldn't be truly max rarity. But yeah, Darkness hits 4K, same condition as that oversized drop search from JP, 2 or less. So just a really important card. Konosuba is really a deck. I tried running it like Slime style, like no true plussing zeros. Konosuba is like really a deck that needs its like turn 0 plus. The Darkness is really good at that, as well as like throwing some yellow on there. Covered in Snot, Brian hit the nail on the head. Card's just way too fucking strong to not play. 4 is too much, 2 is too little. You always play 3 in pretty much every competitive deck. Any additional extra stock, no matter what, Konosuba will take it, and they'll run with it. Brainstorm, like I noted when we were talking about Brian's deck, extremely important when you're running the Obro combo. Helps you keep up against standby decks and damage, set up nasty sides later in the game, do all sorts of crazy stuff. This Darkness here, you might have like never known this card existed in Konosuba. Konosuba has a Takitsubo, which is pay 1, rest itself. Pay 1, clock yourself, rest it, search for any adventure or magic character. It's not level restricted, so you just go search for anything. Or I believe it's just adventurer. It's just adventurer, but that's every card.
It's just adventurer trade.
Yeah, which is every card in the deck. Spoiler alert. Because Union's also adventurer. And then it also has on climax play, give anything 1,000 power. So it has like the married life effect, which is also really good for Obro, because Obro's kind of dinky. It's only 6/5 with climax. So then you can like beat over stuff that sits at 7k, which like depending on if your meta is English only or mixed, that's like pretty important for getting over like JP set boards. Because like this deck also can keep up in either meta. Deck's ridiculous. Next card we have, I briefly alluded to it. Darkness, Climax Swap, pay 1 digit Climax, grab a Climax from grave. Extremely, extremely important card. You want this card in your hand basically all the time. If you ever trigger Door, this is the card you take. Unless you're like, you already have what you need. This card is so freaking important. I can't fit 3. You probably could, and it would probably be fine. It would affect your colors pretty negatively, as is, but card is super, super important. Also has on play, you may mill 3. Just a really, really good effect. Free mill's good. Good for getting you through their first deck. Good when you need to mill through clean cards after canceling at the top. Just super, super solid. One board games mostly run as a climax help, but also our 5th starter. This is also a free runner, so we get to run 5 starters. And then we also have the one of Drop Search Megami. Is our only drop search in the whole goddamn set. And it's from the old trial deck. So good luck finding those. Yeah, really, I'm really happy with the 0 lineup after putting the Swimsuit Darknesses in. It feels like super, super rock solid. I don't think it's bad into like pretty much any matchup. It feels really disgusting. The Takitsubo, because of how many heals you play, we'll get into it, like gets value all game, even at the top. So like you don't feel bad about it sitting in the back row. taking 1 damage to get a specific card when you're Konosuba and you need specific cards to pop off at the end. Especially because, like we said, I mean, all these cards, since especially Obro and Ambush Union, all the engines have sort of selectivity problems. So having a card that like gives you a selective card from deck is pretty good, especially when the rest of your deck is salvage. So pretty good. Obro, I won't get into it. We talked about it before. Kome's broken. We argued a lot about Kome in our set review. You guys can check that out, the merits of the card. If you don't know what Kome is, this one is on death. When it hits waiting room, you can mill up to 4. And if you can add a climax from those 4 cards to your hand, and then you ditch a card. If you don't add anything, you don't have to pitch anything. Unlike a Rize, it is just free mill. You can play over this if you're desperate for a climax, any climax, because you're always holding the climax swapper. Put it into this, and then this card is also just randomly a serviceable attacker. Swings in at 5k on its own on turn. So yeah, I don't know. This card's really, really stupid. I don't know. This card can't be cheap. I'm pretty sure it is. People probably haven't.
It's like $5.
Yeah, like $4 maybe.
Well, if you want to try spec on stuff, you just buy out this card. Kome's broken. It's so strong. The main reason we're playing yellow is to play this card. Also in yellow, we got this bold buff Kazuma. I believe this was also in Andy's deck. It's a stock bomb. Stock bombs are pretty well positioned right now because of Slime. If you stock bomb the Shizu, notably even with Climax, it ties Shizu at only 4k. So you'll never swing over it. You tie Shizu, and then the Shizu goes to stock, and your opponent still has to reveal the top card of their deck, even though the Shizu is not. So it gives you information. When you have this on board with Oberos, that can always side for ones, don't need to like reverse their opponent. You probably don't want to run over a Shizu or something anyway, or your opponent has a bomb on field. They have to reveal the top card of their deck. So then it just gives you information to side. If there's a climax on top, you get rid of it and then swing in with your next attack. Really, really nasty into slime if you have a lot of slime running around, which I think if you are playing in any English-focused metagame right now, you're probably really sick of queuing into slime. This card's really, really nasty. You can also easily swap this for the normal Megaman Bomb if you're running into standby, since that's just a reverse. But this card also has pay 1 on death, pay 1 ditch a card, salvage anything on death, completely not trait restricted.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, so just an additional consistency card. No, it's pay 1. It's just drop search.
Sure.
Pay 1 ditch a card, yep. Pay 1 ditch a card on death. And it's a bomb, so it's going to die anyway. Really cool consistency card. If you're at the bottom of your deck and you need to ditch a climax, it's also good. Clears what's in front of it. Good card. Only 2 seizure. That's the deck building concession we have to make. It hasn't felt bad yet. It just means you have to death grip it even harder than normal. But I could totally see someone making a cut to run this at 3, because card's really important for Konosuba. Other card that's really important, I wish I could run more of, the 2-1 support. Just really, really strong, tanking up your early plays, making your things swing in at absurd values. Makes your Aqua finishers sit at 13 cross turn, swing in for 14. Card's really good. Also removes hand on core early plays. Good for the mirror, good for slime. We already kind of talked about the Aqua a little bit, but it is on play heal. 500 for every other, sits at 11. And then on attack with the ants, you pay 1, and then you mill your opponent's bottom 2 cards. And as long as they're both clean, it's ping 1, which I don't know if you guys know about Kokuchino, which is a cool card from Gochiusa. But Kokuchino is really fucking good. It's been on the pick list in Japan forever. And that card's expensive to play. And even though you have to coin flip with this for 1 stock, 1 stock Kokuchino is really dumb. And even if you whiff, you remove the climax from their deck. So, like, informs your other attacks as well. Especially when you have stuff like Fumio and Burn 5. Like, if you Fumio and then Kokuchino, your opponent is, like, eating every Burn 1. Like, basically impossible for them to cancel. Or at least you ping off to cancel the Kokuchino effect. 3 mesmerizing, card's ridiculous, stock healer, dodges anti-heal if that's ever a thing. Swings in at 11. Absolutely stupid. There's a reason the card's expensive. Really, really important card for the deck. New early play union, 10-5, hand on core. Then it's also a healer, so that's already, what do we got? 8 healers here. 8 healers in the deck, so you can sit at level 2 for a really long time, because 5 of them are early play healers. Then we got the Fumio Burn 5 package that needs no introduction. This is what kills most people in all Konosuba games. You don't even play a climax combo. You just Fumio and Burn 5 them, and you don't even have to play a combo. But because the Aqua is so cheap, you can like lay down 2 Aquas and like still burn 5 people if you're like having a good game with some extra stock, which is really gross. And then one of the Megumin finisher, which is also a stock healer. So we got 9 healers in the deck, 4 of which are stock healers. And then it has the combined joined hands with the 5th door, which we went over that in our set review. You guys can check that out if you want us to go into it, sort of the merits of that versus the other Fumio. But it's Fumio for 1, and then 2 burn 3s and 2 clock kicks. And notably, the clock kicks come first, and then the burn 3s go off. So it goes a little bit differently. It's sort of spaced out a little different. But yeah, this is... I kind of want to gush about it a little bit. I think this is the most broken deck. I think this is the best deck in the English meta right now, and I don't think anything comes anywhere close. The ability for this deck to pivot on a dime at the top into exactly what kills its opponent has consistently felt unbelievably disgusting in every game I have played it in. I never feel as if I am like truly behind. Even if I'm being like disgustingly sacked, I can Fumio my opponent, because if my opponent is sacking me and pushing their advantage, they're probably not super on top of their deck state, which means I can always have a chance to crack back with a Fumio burn 5 and maybe just randomly steal the game. The deck is completely disgusting at every level. I can decide to dirtle and heal out the entire game, or I can just delete my opponent from 2-0. Like, every level feels unbelievably disgusting, and there's no situation this deck can't answer. I knew a deck like this would exist. I made memes about it when Konosuba was being spoiled, about how there will be Gara Konosuba. This is the deck that just it answers every situation when piloted correctly.
Yeah, I mean, you remember earlier how I said I didn't want to spend like $500 on Konosuba cards?
Yep, this is why.
Carmen showed me this deck like after like the first day the set came out. I'm like, God damn it! I just like went on TCG Player and bought everything. I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah,
I really wasn't. I was actually really pissed off.
If you want to like spike events like really really hard, even post Adventure Time, post God forbid unrestricted DAO, whatever, this deck is still going to delete people. This deck is still going to be insane. And you don't want to know a cool thing about this deck? This deck is actually fun and engaging to pilot as well as being super strong. It's actually pretty demanding to pilot, a lot more demanding than the old Konosuba deck, I think, to a point. There is a non-yellow version of the deck that I think is also good, that just runs like the normal magic, super heavy magic package with like 4 Chiris and stuff. Kind of similar to Ryan from Strictly Broken's old deck, but like with all the new stuff. And it's still 5-door 3 pants, but it runs like sort of the old style 0 lineup. And it doesn't run the Kome and stuff at level 1. I personally find the yellow allows you to pivot harder and gives you it weirdly gives you like more selectivity as the game goes on. I think the Takitsubo is really dumb in the deck. Because like I said, you can use this at level 3 because you play 9 healers. Taking 1 damage, if you're going to heal to 3-0 anyway, to play these cards that not only delete your opponent, but also heal. Like, who cares? Go get the card you need. You're going to heal down to 0 anyway. So,
I mean, the late game value is why you would, just generally speaking, why you would go into a grittier color lineup in general, not just in whites, but in other card games too. Like when you get greedy with your colors, it's usually for like
utility,
the value,
endgame utility.
I feel like if you wanted to cut yellow, it's not because the Kome's bad. It's because it would just be to like smooth over your colors.
Weirdly, this deck is almost perfectly split down the middle in colors, if you count the climaxes, which isn't completely true. How the deck usually plays out is it's red, then blue, then yellow, and because your yellow is a little bit higher, and you have 7 cards in yellow that you don't need later on in the game, yellow's usually your float color. Because you don't need yellow to function a lot of the time on your first turns at specific yellows. Yellow's like your follow-up color. Like, oh, well, like, I need a climax to loop my combo. Guess I'll clock my Swimsuit Darkness in my hand, which sets my yellow so I can play my Kome if I have to dig for another climax if I don't get it off of, if I don't get it off my clock draw, things like that.
Right.
So yellow usually floats in my play testing a lot of the time until level 3. But yeah, I can't shill for this deck enough. And I want to thank Kid again for like bringing it to like my attention, because after a lot of play testing, I don't think any deck in English currently, and this is pre Adventure Time, pre Data Live, comes anywhere close to the power level of a list like this. Whether it's like 5-door 3 pants, 4-door 4 pants, something similar to this, I don't think anything comes close to this shell. It has felt absolutely disgusting no matter the matchup in both metas.
Yeah, from what I've seen to this point, this deck seems to be the play, seems to be extremely powerful. I haven't tried it out myself yet, but I definitely plan to at some point.
It's definitely like the big thing I can tell people who are used to playing old Konosuba, Ambush Union, this is not as Helmet. Like it is much harder baseline, much harder floor. Like there's a much higher like skill floor to pilot this correctly than there is like the old Konosuba deck. Where the old Konosuba deck, we used to make jokes about it, is like you could teach a dog to double tap ambush both turns and like field 3 attackers.
I love my Helmet Konosuba deck though.
But I mean, like at the top, at higher levels, at the highest level of the game, every deck is hard to play. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like because it's White Schwartz, and the game's impossible. But like I'm saying, like the when I talk about it, like the entry, the level of entry you have to like pilot this is a little higher than the ambush deck for sure. Any deck with a weird climax split is going to be different to play.
Yeah, and I know this video is definitely running a lot longer than we expected it to, but this is
about what I expected.
It's longer than I expected, but this is like a really, really, really important deck to like talk about. And I actually do have like a couple questions.
Yeah.
You answered one of them earlier. I was going to mention. So I think it was Wibbs who was testing the just red blue cutting.
Yeah,
yellow.
the more standard package. Yeah,
we kind of already talked about the differences there, but as far as like there being a high skill floor to the deck, I'm sure a lot of people have like been playing the 8-gate deck. It seems like the prescribed like
the build around
Bushiroad's trying to funnel you into.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on like the 8-gate deck that commits completely to the new top end?
So I think the new top end has a couple issues on specific but common deck states. Which is why you really only want to play it in the matchups where your opponent is doing something like they're neg soul walling me, or they're walling up so big that like I can't afford to crash board, or like I'm running a little light this game, but I have my Union on field already. This climax is in my grave. The climax to go is in my grave, or it's in my stock somewhere. I can play down this I can get into the Megumin, or I'm holding the Megumin. I play it. I climax swap into the right climax, and then I go from there because I'm having a bad game. Because like you would need what 6 stock as opposed to like the normal 8-9 that you need to like really pop off with a bunch of other stuff. So it's like it's weirdly a little lighter to do because like you play down the Union, you attack 3 times, you net generate 1, and then you play the other Megumin down. It's a stock healer. And you have to have 3 going into the beginning of your turn. So it's like weirdly a little lighter, so it gives you an option there. Like I feel like the biggest like comment that I've gotten back, and I think this will answer sort of the question. The biggest comment that I've gotten back when like people try the list or I've handed people the deck and they played it is I haven't been in this situation yet where I want to play the new top end, where I want to play the new 1-of finisher. And I always say, yeah, that's typical unless you're playing into a very specific matchup. Or you're in a very specific situation, you normally would never want to go for that combo, because it is worse than Fumio Burn 5. It is worse than, like, Fumioing into, like, double or triple Kokuchino or something ridiculous like that, which are normal things that Konosuba does, because the set's dumb.
Right.
And I think that perfectly answers the reason why you wouldn't want to play 8-door. Because the combo isn't always good. It's not always good. It's not good enough to run as your one primary combo, because it has issues on those specific game states. So if you want to be able to answer everything, thankfully, the set has these tools that let you run it lighter, in a way. Or at least mix it in some way.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. You don't play the 8-gate deck for the finisher. The finisher is kind of meh. I don't like the fact that it force Fumios that can put you in a really awkward spot when you need to kill your opponent.
Yeah.
But you play it for the fact that it comes with so many powerful synergy cards. You play it for the 5-card Akatsuki. You play it for the basically free anti-change. You play it for things like that. Would be the reason you would play that package.
Yeah, you would definitely be playing it for those other cards, the Akatsuki and the anti-change that Brian mentioned. I personally don't think those are needed for this deck. In how it plays out, those consistency cards. Maybe there is a deck that's kind of like, it runs more, it like doesn't run the normal like Fumio Burn 5, or it doesn't run Mesmerizing Water Goddess, and it runs more of the other one just so you have copies of it to throw away for those consistency cards, and you don't run yellow, but that's to be seen. Because I do think those cards are strong. But I don't think they make the top end strong, because Konosuba is a deck where you dirtle all game and then you kill your opponent. And Obro's really good at helping you dirtle all game and kill your opponent. Just in general.
Yeah, like my one other question too is so I really do like how I really like the climax split, the 4-3-1 split, so you can pivot into the explosion
right
finisher in
whichever
the
one
games
you
where
need.
they're really walling up big and it's appropriate. But how has it felt in the games when you do need to pivot into that? How does it feel with just the one copy of the level 3 Megumin? That's the only thing I'm looking at, this saying maybe that's a bit greedy, maybe that's a little bit loose, just playing like one copy of that.
It is a little loose, but it's one of those things, and I think we kind of talked about it earlier today when we were discussing a completely different topic. The games where you would want to field that outside of panic situations, in which case you're playing completely reactively, you're only going for it if you see it or if you have access to it, are so few and far between right now in the English metagame that you only need to have one, because you'll take it off your first door and you'll hold it. Or you
should know in advance, like,
yeah,
what
you should know in advance what you'll be playing into. If you're gonna play that combo, if you're playing the whole game, pop out in that combo, you need to take it and hold it.
You prep for it and death grip it, yeah.
And you can view the drop search as an additional copy of the card, in a way, just because we are running 5-door and we're running twin drivers. No, it's the meme, but I guess I didn't.
Takitsubos can grab it too, right?
Yeah, Takitsubo can also grab it. So you have deck access to it. The grave access is mostly going to be doors or the Kazuma stock bomb, which you have ways to do in main phase. Notably, these cards that do things when they die in the deck, you can play over them in these like panic situations, or when you have an excess of hand and you don't mind negging. Those are lines you can go for despite being inoptimal. So you do have access to the card. So you sort of play the combo in those matchups. Like, what was it when I was sitting down against like Brandon's Yoshino wall? It's like you play the entire game to play the clock.
Yeah, you know what you're going for,
right?
And another thing is like when you're playing one-ofs of any card. So like it can even be something as simple as the board game Megumin. When you trigger these cards and you're twin driving, that's like sometimes that's as important as a climax. Like, say I'm playing against Slime and I trigger the 2/1 back row support, that card's instantly getting twin drived. It doesn't matter if there are still climaxes in my deck, because at least climaxes, when I trigger them, they have beneficial effects. But like that card needs out of my stock right now, and Obro helps you do that. So when weirdly, Obro enables you to run these one-ofs of cards if you're like being on top of what you trigger and stuff like that, which is like common knowledge to like players of certain skill levels and stuff like that. But like, something worth mentioning.
Yeah, letting you keep the cards that you want to keep out of your stock is extremely helpful when you're running single copies of things.
Also, natural synergy with Twin Drive and Pants is like not to be downplayed in a deck where you want to loop your combo. Pretty important. Feels really good, especially
also if you're just trying to get into like your one of gate when you're going for those games. The Pants triggers help you accommodate that, only having one copy of the gate.
Door Pants has always been a strong lineup. I don't think it ever won't be.
And like I feel for anyone looking at this and thinking like, man, you're like stretching yourself too thin, trying to do like too much of like everything and not enough of one thing, or like how are you going to be able to do it consistently? It just seems to me like I haven't played the deck. I played against it a few times, but like the Megumin splashing in the gate combo, like the one of gate, the one of big Megumin, it just seems so free.
Yeah.
Like the other half of the
free.
combos, the early play Union, and you're already playing those anyway because the card's really good.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 2 deck spots, and one of them it's not even a real deck spot because it's climax. You just need to find like one spot for a big Megumin.
And it's a stock healer. The baseline is already fairly high right now, depending on what your view of the game aside. It's a 9th healer. Like your cards not only heal, they either heal or delete people from the game, or like they let you play healers for free, like burn 5, summon a healer. Pretty dumb. Lots of crazy plays you can make. Only other thing I want to note before we close out here, I got a shout out to Dan for turning me on to the Kazuma stock bomb. He's the one who actually told me that card existed. And that card's really, really fucking good right now in the meta with Slime, and just as a consistency tool. Like the perfect card to fuck Slime.
Yeah, I might try throwing that in the Sylvia deck too. I actually don't have that card in the deck at this point. I didn't know it existed until yesterday when you were yelling something at someone about it.
Yeah, it's probably Brandon. Yeah, this deck also passed the test. I handed it to someone who had only like Brandon played a lot of Konosuba. He played only Konosuba for years, so he's like very familiar of how to like play the deck. And I handed him this, and he was like instantly like, "Yeah, I really like this deck. This deck feels good." Like so, and he won the event with it last night. So someone completely removed from the brewing and playing process was able to take the deck, find its strength, and win with it. So
it passed the Brandon test.
Yeah, the Brandon test. But yeah, I think that's all I have on the deck. I really implore people that have the cards to try this out, even though it might seem a little weird on paper. Deck is a blast, and deck is ungodly strong.
Fucking better be, dude. I spent all that money. Better not have led me astray. I'd be pissed.
All right.
Yeah, the deck's not that bad aside from the mesmerizing price is reasonable.
And hey, next deck tech. Me and Brian got something special for you. We've been saving the darkness. We've been holding it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We'll do those next time because we're way over. So yep. I think that's all we got. We got the links that we put at the end of all our videos up here. Join the Discords, join the Facebook groups, all the cool shit, all the Twitters. Rush rundowns are wrapped for now. Unfortunately, when we get back to events, we will resume them. I think we've said that at the end of all our videos. This was the last one that we bring it up on for now. You guys got anything else?
I think we covered it all.
Only other thing I got is shout out to all the people who have been coming through Pittsburgh locals recently. We really appreciate it. You had a group from Philly come out to our Steel City Climax event, which we do have match footage from, which we're going to do match commentary for. It's just scheduling's pretty rough right now, like it always is for us. But we want to get that, and we want to get more match footage out there. We have a backlog of some. We're going to try to do more of that since like set reveals and stuff are slowing down for a bit for us. We have more time to do that. But yeah, we want to thank all those groups of people who've been coming out. Obviously, Burn One came through. Ollie came through, also from Indiana, Illinois area. Group of guys from Philly came down. We really appreciate it. A group of people from Ohio came to our locals last night, driving 5 hours one way just to come to our locals. We really appreciate it. It was really awesome, really fun. Glad to see you guys coming out. We'd love to have you back. Yeah, I think that's it. Pittsburgh White Sports signing off. We'll see you guys in the next one.